Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to have with me the man of the 1999 World Cup. Those of us who are of the vintage variety would know Lance Klusener very well. Welcome to this chat, Lance. It's a privilege to have you with us on this chat.
Cheers. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. My pleasure. Thank you.
Lance, can you tell us something about your early years? How did you get the nickname Zulu? What was your early years like in back in South Africa?
Yeah, pretty much played most of the sports through school. And then left school. Had a bit of talent with cricket, but just nothing spectacular. Never played any I guess provincial schools sports or anything like that. Spent 4 years in the army after that. I guess maybe got a bit stronger, got a little bit smarter. And then left that and went back to Durban, where I met up with Malcolm Marshall, was our overseas professional at that stage. And I can speak the language Zulu fluently, so I guess it just went from there. I don't think Malcolm could say Klusener, but he knew Zulu, so that's kind of where it started.
And those 3-4 years in the army, why did you join the army, and what was the impact that the army training had on you?
Well, in South Africa, we all had to join the army. Conscription was there, and for us, so if you didn't go and study at university, then you had to go straight into the army. So I did that. I went straight into the army. I don't know whether I enjoyed it, but I ended up staying for 4 years. Just maybe a bit smarter, a bit stronger. It actually bought me time to, I actually wanted to go and study something, but I wasn't sure what, and then kind of cricket just took over from there.
How big an impact was Malcolm Marshall on your career and careers of most of you guys in Natal? I think he played a part in Sean Pollock's career as well. Yesterday we celebrated his birthday as a cricketing community. How big an impact was Malcolm Marshall at that stage of your career?
Very big. We were, I'll say Sean Pollock was there, Dale Benkenstein, Neil Johnson as well, represented Zimbabwe. So there was quite a lot of us that, at that young age, 22, 23, learning from this global icon, because we shouldn't forget that, I was brought up when it was apartheid, so, we didn't have the opportunity to even dream to play for South Africa. We could play for our state or our province, and that was about as high as you go. So, to have this global star playing for us in the same team, we just learned as much as we could, and we were more fans than teammates, really. But a wonderful man who left his impression. I guess the same as Desmond Haynes as well. What he did for the boys down in the Western Province, Jacques Callis, Herschel Gibbs, to name just a few who all grew up and came through that learning with, as we did with Malcolm, as they did with Desmond as well.
And did you ever see yourself as an all-rounder in the early days, or were you just an out-and-out fast bowler?
Yeah, a bit of an all-rounder, I guess. In the younger years, but nothing special. Could always bat a bit and bowl a bit, and I think as I got stronger, the bowling part kind of took over. But the ability with the bat was always there. I think probably just needed a bit of guidance and a bit more help than the bowling did, I guess.
And you made it to the South African team on that India tour in 1996. You had an inauspicious start to your Test debut when Azhar hit 5 boundaries. How did you take that first innings as a learning? What did you learn from that first innings? We'll come to the second innings, but the first innings in Calcutta at Eden Gardens in your debut Test match.
Yeah, tough. I think there's always a bit of nerves and there's always expectation, and what a wonderful place to go and make a debut in front of 100,000 people. So yeah, just getting over that. I was still am a simple farm guy, and I guess getting over that big step up in terms of crowd and what a wonderful stadium. And then settling into, as you alluded to in the beginning, bowling a lot better in the first innings. I mean, in the second innings, but, you need to give credit where credit's due. And I thought Azhar played absolutely beautifully. He was on top of his game in that test match throughout. So yeah, a bit of both, I guess. A little bit of settling in and running into, one of the greatest and riskiest players I've ever had the privilege of bowling to.
And in the second innings, you picked up 8 wickets and bowled South Africa to a win. What do you remember most about that? Because it's a debut test match, picking up 8 wickets in your in the very second innings that you're bowling. What do you remember most about that particular bowling effort?
I think the ball reversed. That was good for us. There wasn't really much seam movement or conventional swing. So I think just remembering back, the ball really reversed for us in the second innings, and we were able to get people out to LBW and bowl. So if I just think back, I remember we caught very well in that test match as well. But just from a bowling point of view, a reverse swing played a big part for me there.
And then your batting took over. You scored the fastest test century by a South African at the time against India later on when India toured South Africa later that season. That was the start of us seeing you as a batsman as well. Did you feel you were in the prime of your life at that time when you batted that day against India?
No, but I think a lot of factors. We had a good team. We'd done the hard work up front, and I managed to come in at whatever it was, 8 or 9, and bat against some tired seam bowling in terms of miles on the clock and lots of overs. So that worked out well. I had to make sure that I got I think Brian McMillan through to his 100. And then just played with freedom, and sometimes in sport you do need I guess a little bit of help along the way, and I hit the ball sweetly and cleanly, but just took advantage of the hard work that the batters had done up front, really, in just making sure that the Indian attack wasn't as lively, I guess, as it was up front.
And at that time, just after you came onto the scene, South Africa was developing into a very solid unit with a number of all-rounders, including yourself, Sean Pollock, Brian McMillan was going away, David Richardson was going away, but you got Mark Boucher in the side. We were seeing the best of you and the South African team at that time. The one thing that stood out was in March '99 when you hit a 6 of the last ball to win a one-day match against New Zealand. Did you feel that somehow 1999 was going to be your year? Because everything that you did that year, we come to the World Cup later, but everything that you did that year seemed to pay off?
I was injured in the England series, I think 2 or 3 months before that. So I couldn't really do much bowling, but batting was fine. So I spent 2 months really just batting against a bowling machine and just hitting, hundreds and hundreds of balls. So that definitely helped me a bit. And then it was nice to get the rewards, I guess. You certainly can go with a bit of confidence, but to actually go and do it in the middle, I guess the stars aligned. I'd done a lot of preparation and a lot of practice in terms of batting. But I guess at the same time, you need to go and do it in the middle. So when you put all that practice and combine it with confidence in the middle, then you can get into a good space, which as you said, I was lucky that it happened over that time.
Then came the 1999 World Cup, and you were in ferocious form, not just with the bat. People forget that even with the ball, you were one of the most successful bowlers in that tournament. Was that the best cricket that you ever played in your life? You would say 140 average, 281 runs, 17 wickets. Was that the best cricket that you ever played in your life?
I think so. And as I said earlier, as fate would have it, it was over a World Cup time. I think every cricketer has a space where they're just really on top of their game. And I was just fortunate that it was absolutely over the right time for us. so that was good. But yeah, I need to agree. I was on top of I was confident, I think, about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to go about things.
And that semi-final, I'm sure you must have been inundated with queries over the years about that semi-final. Do you still sometimes close your eyes when you see highlights of that semi-final, especially the last over? And does it still bring back some memories? How long did it take for you to get over that?
Yeah, disappointment, obviously. I mean, not ideal to go out in that fashion, but I look at it a bit differently. I'm a bit of a realist, and I think, I always say it's easy to blame somebody, but we just never scored enough runs throughout that tournament. We kept putting ourselves under pressure and asking a lot of myself and Pouch and Sean as well, to score runs down the bottom. We just never got off to the starts and never put up totals that top six or so batters would allow us to play with freedom. We always came in under pressure. So I think it was just one hurdle too far. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, and it was warning bells all throughout. We always scrambled to totals and managed to win by a run or two, but eventually it catches up to you. But no worries. Obviously, it's not the greatest way to go out, and a little bit tough to watch, I guess, for a period. But I'm way past that now. But I think the blame, if people always say, oh, was it Alan's fault, your fault, what happens, why, you could have waited, there were still 2 balls left or whatever it was. But I think we just put ourselves under pressure from a batting point of view for just too long, and eventually it just caught up with us.
And the story goes that you even received a call from Madiba, President Nelson Mandela, at the time, right after the semi-final. Is that true? Did you ever receive a call from President Nelson Mandela after the match?
Yeah, not just then, numerous times we shared a good relationship. I could speak Zulu, as you know, and he was Xhosa speaking, which is very similar, bar a few words. So, we could always have a good chat and, just share some, I guess, some language, between the two of us. So, yeah, he did. And not just then, numerous times did we get that opportunity. It was always a privilege, always a privilege to get that call. Sometimes you always think, oh, well, I'm sure somebody's playing a joke or whatever it is. But once you slipped into Zulu, or he started speaking Xhosa, then I knew it was the real deal,
They say that you did feel that somebody played a prank on you after that semi-final when you got a call from President Mandela.
Yeah, we've got a comedian back in South Africa who does a brilliant Madiba, and he's always pranking people with calls. So yeah, it was always, doesn't matter whenever that call came, it was always just a matter of making sure that I speak Zulu to him, because then I know that it was the genuine article.
Lance, how big an impact was Hansi as captain in your development as a cricketer?
A lot. For me, the best captain I'd played under. And why? Because he always used to have trust in his players. Those 11 that went on the field, that was his people. And he would trust you. And you would have, as a bowler, you'd have a spell where things wouldn't go right, and you'd go and have a break, but you'd always get another chance, and he'd always be in your ear, just telling you, I know you're good enough to come back, and maybe we'll change ends. And it was just that confidence from your captain, knowing that, yes, it wasn't a great spell, but we'll get another opportunity as the game goes on, or whatever it is, or a change of ends or whatever. So I thought in that way he was brilliant, and that's just stuck with me when I was a captain, and now when I'm a coach, is that it's okay to have a bad spell or a bad trot, but if you've got that confidence from the coach or the captain, and which rubs off onto the players, then you will recover quickly, and you will contribute to the team in much quicker. And he did that with all his 11 on the field. You know, he was always there and had total confidence in each and every one of us. And that for me was the biggest lesson. That so brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It's going to be 2 decades now since Hansi played any cricket, and that episode happened. What do you think has been his legacy? Do you still remember him sometimes?
Yeah, look, I mean, he was just a great captain. You know, obviously, I think there were always questions about, is he doing enough with the bat to command a place? You know, there were many of those questions, but great captains allow others to play better. So that for me was something that he brought. He was just fantastic, and as I said earlier, in backing his players and encouraging. And being tough as nails and trying to set the example, whether it was with fitness or whether he was bowling or batting, he would always be trying to set the example. And in doing that, bring out the best of everybody else. So as much as we thought, or spectators or fans thought he needs to be contributing more with the bat, he was allowing others to actually overperform, if I can put it that way as well.
And do you still remember him sometimes? How long did it take for you to get over the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he played a huge part in my career, a huge part in a lot of other people's careers in South Africa. So, you know, he's not somebody that I will just, you know, forget or brush under the carpet. You know, whatever harm he did to cricket is one thing, but the value he added to me as a person and to me as a cricketer is not something that I'll ever forget.
Why was no other captain able to get what Hansi got out of you? Sean or even Graham Smith, Graham even went to the extent of making statements against you at that time. Why was no other captain able to get the best out of you like Hansi?
I'm not sure it's too much of a captain thing. You know, I think it was just when I was playing really well. It was a part of my career that you know, I was playing really well. I had the freedom and the backing to go out there and enjoy. And maybe, if anything, it was more of the freedom and the backing and kind of the fear of failure. You know, it doesn't matter. You're going to keep playing, but go out there and express yourself. That maybe other captains didn't give. But, you know, in saying that, it's not that I tried harder when he was captain, I think it's a whole, you know, my career kind of tailed off towards the end when I actually wanted to go and play cricket in England as well, which I did. But I think it was just, if anything, the freedom of going out there and playing and knowing that, you know, you've got his full backing, that you know, if he didn't score runs for 2 or 3 games, you wouldn't necessarily be dropped, you know.
Were you able to reconcile with Graham at any stage after that over what he said?
No, it's not something that excuse me, it's not something that and scoring enough runs, no one asks questions, you know. So if anything, I let myself down in terms of not being in the best form of my life, you know. And what that does, it allows others to ask questions, or which I guess at that stage, or, you know, no trouble, you know. But no, I think if anything, I probably had myself to blame in terms of not really performing or being frustrated that I wasn't contributing as much as I felt I needed to be.
And your international career sort of ended soon after, in around 2004. Were you disappointed the way it ended, because there were lots of issues of the field court case against CSA and so on and so forth? Were you disappointed the way it ended?
Yeah, I think I let myself down. You know, I'd have liked to have been fitter and stronger for longer. If I look back now and see the way cricket has gone, but at the same time, it was an opportunity for me to go and play overseas and play county cricket, which I'd always wanted to do. maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise. If I have to do, I guess, something different, I would have made sure that I was fitter, I was stronger, maybe a little bit more hardworking throughout my career, really. But you can get by, I guess, on just pure talent and playing off the seat of your pants for a certain amount of time. But to sustain that for a longer period, which I think I would have liked to have. I needed to have been fitter and stronger. But I found a home in England, and really, really enjoyed my 5 years there.
You also played in the ICL, but then you switched to coaching pretty soon after. What about coaching have you enjoyed? Because you've been coach in Zimbabwe, you're now the coach of Afghanistan. You were going to work with Bangladesh, but it didn't work out. But what has this coaching stint really taught you, and why have you enjoyed it?
What I enjoy, I think, really is helping others achieve their potential. I like working with talent, and coaching at the highest level has afforded me that. So that's great. Not so fond of the traveling, but that's just part and parcel of it. I just enjoy helping that young talent realize the potential, and that for me has been something that it's why I get out of bed in the morning, is just to work with that talent. And Afghanistan have got just heaps and heaps of that talent, and I look forward to every day just working with those guys who also just willing to hang on every word and just get better and better every day. It's just I really enjoy seeing that young talent just grow and blossom.
And if you were to make a prediction about Afghanistan, and if the talent stays and they get the opportunities that they should, what is your prediction about this Afghanistan team? Where do you see them, say, 3 to 5 years from now in all formats?
Yeah, look, Test cricket is fresh to them. I think we've only played 3 or 4 games, so that's still something that's work in progress. But as you said, if we can nurture that talent, I think one thing that we will need to do is play more games. I think Afghanistan have come up quite quick through the ranks, and because ICC fixtures are set, a good couple of years in advance, we're finding ourselves in a bit of a void now where we don't have enough fixtures against quality teams. So that would be something that we definitely need to do, is play more against South Africa, Australia, England, because those are the teams now that we want to start looking at, and with respect to, Ireland and Zimbabwe, Scotland, where Afghanistan have come through, for us to get better and for us to start challenging teams ahead of us, Sri Lanka's, South Africa's, we need to start playing against them more often, and that would be something. And then obviously, I know they're working extremely hard to get domestic cricket more and more competitive back home. And as we know, there are challenges there, but my view for them was that if we can strengthen that, if we can strengthen the opposition that the national team is playing against, and more fixtures, there's no reason why we can't why we can't consistently challenge for playoff places in any tournament we play.
And is this the most exciting of all the coaching assignments that you have done? If you were to look back at the other coaching assignments that you've done, is Afghanistan the most exciting of the assignments?
Yeah, I think definitely in terms of talent, talent is just amazing, and the work ethic is great. For me, having worked with the batting coach of South Africa just before that, for a short period of time, that was also extremely challenging, and something that I thoroughly enjoyed. Afghanistan, I'm enjoying, every day. The talent is there, and it's amazing. Excuse me. Again, a challenge is making sure that we're getting the message through in terms of language. So that is something that I guess may be something that could hold everybody back, but using it through interpreters, one-on-ones, messages getting through, and you'll see the way that Afghanistan starts to play now is that we've changed our focus on not just making sure we dominate teams below us, but we want to start beating teams ahead of us, teams in that top 4 or 5 in T20 cricket and ODI cricket. We want to start going there rather than looking back. We want to start challenging teams ahead of us, and we want teams ahead of us to not just think they're playing against Afghanistan, but and it should be an easy game. If they don't bring their A game, they'll find themselves in a battle.
And the last 2 times they played India, they gave India a real scare in the one-day format.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we want to go, and that's where they as a team want to go. We want to challenge teams out there to not just come and play Afghanistan, but make sure you bring your A game. Otherwise, you might find yourself in a battle.
Who's the toughest bowler that you faced, and who was the toughest batsman that you bowled to?
Excuse me. Yeah, interesting question. The spinners have, always come with their threat. Warren Muralitharan, Stuart McGill on his day, will always test you and have the ability to make you look silly, but they don't bring that fear factor. That fear factor of a bouncer or getting hit or anything like that. So it'll have to be a fast bowler, I guess. Shoaib Akhtar on his day, Brett Lee on his day, any of those guys that for me could actually hurt you. And I always say a good fast bowler has always got a cheeky beamer in him somewhere, and that just can stick in the back of your mind as well. But Akhtar, Brett Lee on their day, Wasim Akram, Bakri Yunus, you name them. All of those guys on their day had the privilege of playing against Courtney Walsh, Curtly Ambrose as well. And in any of those guys on their day, it's just too much. It's just a handful.
And the batsman that you bowled to, who was the toughest?
Steve Waugh probably. Always had a good relationship and a good competition with him. Tough as nails. He was, and for me, he was somebody that I'd always be in a real battle with. It'll be a verbal battle, and in those days it could be a verbal battle, but always tough as nails. But yeah, I mean, you can throw Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar, Virender Sehwag, those guys on their day as well. Absolute just magic, and very tough to bowl to.
Any dream left to achieve for you as part of the cricket community? You've been a cricketer par excellence, and you're now a coach. Anything else that you want to do in the future?
I'd like to win a World Cup. I didn't win it as a player, and like to find a home somewhere where I can challenge and do that. We missed out. Well, I missed out as a player, but I feel that is something that is missing from me, and I want to do that. I want to be a top coach and challenge for a World Cup one day.
Of all the World Cups that South Africa has played, was 1999 the best and the most opportune time to win a World Cup, or was it 2015?
Yeah, I think both. I think the playing fields are level when you're going into a World Cup. Yes, we had a good team, but I think one in '99. But once you get to the playoffs, it's anybody's guess, and that needs to be really, and it's my focus with Afghanistan. Let's just get into a playoff, and then who knows what can happen. And it's the same, in 2019. All we wanted to do was to get into a playoff. Then sit and regroup and go again, and I'm sure in 2015 it was the same. So yeah, I don't think 2019 or in 99 or 2015 was any difference. Once you get into that semi-final, everybody's got as even chance as everybody else.
One final question, Lance. In these times of COVID-19, coronavirus, what's the one advice that you would give from your side to people watching and listening to this on what they should do and how they should keep themselves active?
Yeah, and there's not a lot you can do, and some have more opportunity than others, but physical activity, I guess, is limited, and do what you can, but just from a cricketing point of view, try and catch up mentally. I think at the highest level, most of the coaching is mental coaching, and try and freshen up your mind, try and start again with a fresh or a different game plan or whatever it is. Use the opportunity to freshen up your mind in terms of how you want to go about your sport, and then let's just make sure that we're listening to the clever people, the people in government or whoever it is, and making sure that we're listening to them and abiding by how they're going to guide us. I think as sportsmen, quite often we think we know everything, but this is an opportunity where we actually don't know everything, and let's be guided by the smart people. Let's do what we need to do, and then again, just freshen your mind and maybe start again with a different mindset. And I always challenge my Afghanistan players that want to try and learn something new every day, because if you just keep doing the same things, quite often you'll just keep on achieving the same old results.
Thanks a lot, Lance. It was really a pleasure and a privilege to have you chat with us. Hope you stay safe, stay indoors, and always keep doing well.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.